and the Sun Life World Equity Index Feeder Fund. On top of this, we also have, okay, the funds that they actually distribute. I'm not going to go through that. We're going to be sharing that with you through further posts. But I don't want to waste this time just mentioning all of these. I think you all know what these favorite funds are. Next slide, please. Okay, so we, as I've said, have fund sponsors. But we also have one big one for our online trading. Diba? Sabi nga namin ni Noel, hindi na namin kayo mapipigil. Some of you really want to invest directly in the stock market. And for you who are like that, what can we say? Let's focus on the best online platform we can ever have. And that is MyTrade. Okay? So focus, guys, on MyTrade. It gives you all the researches required. It gives you all the information. And again, it's a very robust online platform that can, as far as I'm concerned, ito yung favorite ko, be mobile. Kasi ang laki ng bagay na, on top of being web-based, it also has a mobile app. Alam niyo, frankly speaking, because of my mobility, because I'm always in many meetings, malaking bagay sa akin yung nasa cellphone ko yung trading so that I can do my trading on a phone app. Quite frankly, I will tell you this, a big, big secret. I never traded on the web. I never traded through the computer. Alam niyo ba? Almost 100% of the time, siguro 99.99%, I do my trades online using the telephone. So I am mobile, I'm going to be using that. So again, tandaan natin, our focus would be on the online space in stock investments. It will be MyTrade. So again, going back, going one slide forward, please. Another slide. Okay, so ito na yung pag-uusapan natin. 2020 was a year of frustrations and disappointments. If you remember, 2017, 2018, 2019, we were going great guns. And then all of a sudden, the country felt a little squeezy with the Taal volcano eruption. And we thought that was the black swan. So ano sumunod? Obviously, this pandemic. So, again, lahat ng plano na antala, pati yung mga magpapakasal hindi natuloy, pati yung mga may ibang planong magbiyahe hindi natuloy because of this. However, alam nyo, for some people, and that includes many of you, for many of you, what will 2020 be? Can we move on next slide, please? What is 2020 for some of you? A year of realizations, personal and professional growth. Bakit ganon? May iba, frustration and disappointment. But for IMG, for many of our green jacket, promotions, for many of our CEOs, it's a year of realizations, personal and professional growth. Can you imagine that? We are looking at changing the environment. The environment is... Where am I supposed to move? Here. Okay. Okay, so, sorry for that. We have done very well. For many of you, the pandemic was even a blessing. Pero teka lang, tumuloy muna nga tayo. Another slide forward, please. That is 2021, a year... Sorry, now my slides are moving. Very good, very good. Okay? I'm moving on to the next one. Okay, 2021. 2021 is a year of unmet expectations and disillusionment. Why am I saying this? Because 2021 was supposed to be our recovery year. Many of us thought 2021, wala na yung virus na yan. Full recovery na tayo, back to normal. Or at the very least, back to a new normal. Guess what happens? March, we had an ECQ. Okay? August, we have another ECQ. Parang pabalik-balik na lang. So, the unmet expectations and disillusionment has caused a lot of depression and anxiety to many of our fellow men. Talagang marami pong tinamaan dito. At pagpalagay na natin, may ibang member din natin sa IMG ang nagkaganito. But, surprisingly, majority of IMG, iba ang pakiramdam for 2021. Anong pakiramdam ng marami for 2021? It's not unmet expectations and disillusionment. It was a year of resilience and fresh opportunities. Di ba? Maraming ang na-promote eh. Record nga tayo in terms of recruitment. Record tayo in terms of numbers. Even in investments. Alam nyo, aminin ko sa inyo, takang-taka ang lahat ng mga fund managers. While, a lot of people out there are playing it safe, a lot of people out there are keeping themselves to a corner and being scared of all the uncertainty, IMG is actually forged forward. Tayo lang po, ang grupo, honestly, ang grupo, na walang month within 2021 on what we call a negative net redemption number. Can you imagine that? The whole of 2021 and even 2020, the Soldivo funds, all that we're investing in, have always been having a net sales figure. Monthly. Wala pong miss yan. Wala tayong net redemption month no matter what's happening to the environment. Ang kinagugulat pa nga ng fund managers, specifically Atram, kung kailan daw nahuhulog ang market, saka nag-i-invest ang IMG members. What does that mean? That means we're educated well. That means we're educated well. We know how this thing works. And what does that mean as well? That we're executing correctly. We're not just taking the learning and just doing nothing about it. We learn and we act on it. Because I want to let you know that you always have a choice. Alam nyo, sinulat ko po yan sa libro ko, Trailblazing Success. If you remember, you cannot control your circumstances. You cannot control what happens around you. What can you control? You can control the way you interpret them, and you can control the way you react to them. So what's more important? What's happening or how we are reacting to it? What's more important? Environment or your response to it? We all know the result will always be a function of how you respond. It is not what's happening, but your response. Mali si Webster. Webster says, experience is what happens to you. Di ba? Yun ang definition sa dictionary eh. Experience is what happens to you. Really wrong. You know what? Experience is what you do to what happens to you. Isn't that the correct definition? It is what you do to what happens to you. Because your experience and my experience can be different given one specific or same occasion. Same occurrence, same experience. Dalawang tao, magkaiba ang experience because of the way they react to it. And that's the reason we are here today. We'd like people to understand it is not where you come from, it is not where you start. What matters is where you're going. Saan ka ba papunta? Isipin mo nga ngayon sa sarili mo. No matter kung anong pinanggalingan ko, no matter where I started, it doesn't matter. It is where I'm headed that matters. But you know what matters most? It's what you're willing to pay to get there. It's the price you're willing to pay to get to where you want to be. Alam nyo, a lot of people have a very limited view of success. And I want you to change that. You can only be successful if you have a broad enough understanding of what success really means. And I'll tell you 2 points about success that would be very important. Tandaan po natin itong dalawang bagay na to. Kasi importanteng to. Number 1, success can never be bought at a discount. You want to be successful, you have to pay full price. Hindi pwedeng installment, hindi pwedeng discounted. If you want success, you pay full price. Second, you want success, you have to pay the price in advance. Hindi po pwedeng success now, pay later. Can never happen. Anyone who wants to be a success pays for the price in advance. So think about it, are you doing that same thing? Rex, that's a challenge, huh? How about doing what needs to be done at a time like this, when it's a wrong time for many people? It's a wrong time for many people because they are waiting for the right time. Pero kasi, alam nyo ha, the only constant element for sustainable financial wellness is actually controlling yourself. It's disciplining yourself. It's making sure that you do the right moves in increasing cash flows. Di ba? Karamihan ng IMG members, umi-increase ang cash flow during the pandemic eh. Ang ganda ng performance eh. Yung mga hindi kumikita dati, mas malaki kinikita ngayon. They are expanding their income potential. But they're doing this both for their active income and from their passive income. So ulitin ko yon. Income coming from our own involvement, our own activity, and passive income from our investments. So both of these would be a double-barreled approach towards increasing our financial security and prosperity. Pero it's not enough to increase income. Dapat din, merong living a lifestyle that is below your income. Again, sasabihin ko ito, and I have a lot of IMG friends out there who are doing very, very well. Alam nyo, minsan, delikado rin yung biglang tumataas ang income natin eh. Di ba? Yan ang nakakatakot pag minsan. Kasi, kadalasan, pag biglang tumaas ang income mo na hindi mo inaasahan, what happens? You're going to throw discipline out the window. You're going to throw a lot of the things that brought you where you are because you just felt that you're a lot more wealthier. You accept that you have a lot more abundance. So what do? You start spending on things that are not gonna help. So kailangan may konting disiplina po. Yes, we have to increase income. But when we increase income and it goes to a high level, let us make sure that we also invest that income. So that later on, it will be a combination of man at work and money at work. Man at work and money at work would really be very important because when you put these two things together, you're going to be moving a lot faster. You can accumulate what you can keep. And this is the key to abundance and wealth. And many of us know that. So, para po, dun sa mga kumikita ng malaki ngayon, limit what is there to spend. Ang problema ng marami, di ba? Sisilip sa Lazada, sisilip sa Shopee, 99, 10, pati yung mga payday, lahat yan. Marketing people are good. Marketing and sales people are good. They will try to make you part with your money. You will have to know how to manage yourself. You will have to know how to manage your income. Specifically, navigating this so-called VUCA world. What's VUCA world? Honestly, naiintindihan ba natin ang VUCA world? Ano yung VUCA? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. Volatile, talagang akyat baba. Even inflation, even interest rates, even the stock market, lahat yan akyat baba. Uncertain. Who knows when this pandemic will end? No one can even say. Complex. There's so many variables now. Dati, ang babasahin mong economic fundamentals, kukunti eh. Ngayon, ang dami na ng variables. And lastly, ambiguous. Everything seems unprecedented. It's the first time a pandemic has happened to people who live today. Unless you're alive in the 1900s during the Spanish flu. For many of us, it's unprecedented. Anything unprecedented is very ambiguous to us. So we live in a VUCA world. And that VUCA world, we will have to interpret and understand and react to really, really well. So it's very important that we take note of what should be. So let's talk about interest rates. Kasi sabi nga natin, di ba? With this talk, I always start this convention. I always have to tell people a bit of what happens to interest rates, to the stock market, para ito yung tinatawag nating economics/finance/financial and investments lecture. Okay? So, ito yon. Interest rates are getting to bottom out. That yield curve has already actually stiffened up. Why? Because the BSP has to hold back. Kasi alam nyo, baka lumipad yung peso-dollar rate, malaki utang natin, so we will have to cut down a little bit on our stimulus spending. What does that mean for a lot of people? Mababa pa rin yan, hindi yan tataas because they're trying to control inflation, hanggang dyan lang yan. So, if you don't do anything about your money, if you're not creative enough to earn for the money, guess what will happen? You will lose the value of money as you're saving it. You will lose the value of money as you're saving it, lalo po kayong malulugi. So you have to be creative enough to make the money work for you. As I've said, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is holding back on its shoring up of this liquidity. How about the equity market? Alam nyo gusto kong i-overlay ito, galing ito sa mga kaibigan natin from ATR Asset Management. Let us review the equity performance of this country. You look at it. In-overlay nila yung announcement ng ECQ, MECQ at GCQ. So ano makikita nyo dyan na experience? Tuwing mag-a-announce ng ECQ, bumababa yung market. Pag lumambot ng konti, nagiging MECQ, umaakyat. Pero malakas ang pag-akyat pag naging GCQ na. And you will see this later on. Why? Because of mobility. The mobility of people in transit, in areas of business, the CBD, commercial, in malls, lahat yan may function of how they affect the economy. Pero ang gusto kong makita nyo, itong huli. Sabi ko kanina, pag nag-a-announce ng ECQ, bumababa yung market. Pero nung August po, hindi na. Actually, when the ECQ in August was announced, umakyat ang market. Right on that day, when it was announced, the market went up. So what am I telling you? The market now, business people, are now becoming a little more resilient when it comes to the pandemic. We're now beginning to understand that, hey, we will have to live with this virus. This virus cannot dictate our financial future. This virus cannot dictate the way we will live and work on our abundance. We will have to be creative enough to deal with it moving forward. So kung makikita nyo, ang tinatawag nating mobility in transport, in groceries, okay? So makikita nyo lahat yan are higher than the second quarter levels. When the tight liquidity and the tight quarantine protocols were both experienced. Nag-tight quarantine protocol, may liquidity measures ang BSP, pero yung mobility umakyat. So what does that mean? People are now braving what's there outside, just taking care of themselves, going through the necessary protocols, but they have to work. They have to be in business. They have to push the economy forward. So makikita nyo, this is going to be the basis of this market moving forward. But for those who are in technical analysis, I want you to see this. Diba? Kasi alam niyo po tayo, diba? Sabi natin, we're always dealing with analysis of combination of fundamentals and technicals. You look at this. This is the chart of the PSEI from the drop in March of 2020. Look at it. If you know your technicals, if you know your channel analysis, di ba po kitang-kita yan? Parang, ewan ko kung bakit hindi nakikita ng marami yan eh. How resilient is this market? When the lower channel is getting broken, it goes right up. It pops right back. So, if you're going to be looking at the way the channel is going to be panning out, you'd want to be able to increase your exposure. You'd want to be able to increase your exposure because our sentiment always follows stuff like this. Let me put 2021 under the microscope. This is 2021, Philippine Stock Exchange Index for 2021. Look at what is there from January to May. January to May, look at the channel. Ganyan. And there was a time when the bottom channel was even breached. That was the first half. Look at what has happened since June. That is a new channel. That provides so much of what we call a W-shaped recovery. We all know it's K and W. K meaning tourism, hospitality, those businesses will be left behind. But the forerunners would be technology, telco, retail essentials. However, we still have property conglomerates following suit. And we now see them getting stronger. So kung makikita nyo ngayon, iba na. Iba na. Meron na tayo ngayong experience in looking at not just the technical, but maybe even shifts in the fundamental. And this is overlaid with the lack of participation of foreigners. Look at how the foreigners would have controlled our markets in 2012 and 2014. Umaakyat yung market, puro foreign ang nagdala. When the foreigners were out, look at the last 3 years. Foreigners are out. Retail lang ang sumasagot. So the market is going up without the foreigners, without foreign buying. But this is what I'm gonna tell you. Lagi namang huli yung foreigners, di ba? Look at when they started. 2009, 2010, 2011, all the way to 2013. They always come back when times are already good. After the crisis of 2008, negative yan. Naging mataas afterwards. That is exactly what's gonna happen now. And that's the reason why you have to position now while they're not yet there. Because when they come in, you know how this market is going to be turning around. Fundamentally, is that supported? The answer is yes. Take a look at this. 2021, first quarter. Alam nyo ang earnings growth ng mga kumpanya sa Philippine Stock Exchange Index, up ng 15%. For the second quarter, magkano inakyat? 335% on average. 335%. Bringing the first half to about 84.5%. We are going to be looking at the whole year at 31% growth. With majority of these companies beating their estimates, in line with estimates, and very few are actually below expectations. So makikita nyo, ano ba yung contributors na yan? Okay? That will move into property and conglomerates. Alam nyo, ginawa ng Atram dito, hinati nila yung old and new dahil nagbago yung index eh. It's not comparable because pumasok ang ASN, pumasok ang Converge, so binabaan nila yung weighting nung iba at may tinanggal din silang mga ibang kumpanya. But if you're going to be looking at growth, we're looking at 30% this year. And next year, we're looking at 40%. So kailan pa mag-i-invest si IMG member? Pag nag-grow na or dapat nauunahan natin? Di ba dapat nauuna tayo? And that's the reason why I'm proud to say, totoo naman talaga, nauuna eh. But this is something I'd really like to say I am proud to be sharing with all of you. Kasi alam nyo po, I cannot help. This presentation is going to be different. Why? I cannot help but present health and pandemic analysis. Alam nyo, all throughout, years ago, tuwing magpe-present ako sa inyo, economics, fundamentals, finance, investments. Yun ang presentation ko lagi, di ba? Plus, the regular personal growth and development tips. Ngayon po, kakaiba. Magsisingit ako ng pandemic/health discussion. Why? Because it's very relevant. It is very relevant. And why am I so proud to share these things with you? Because IMG will have a glimpse of the reports of Ayala Health. Alam niyo itong Ayala Health reports na ito, nire-report ito sa top brass ng Ayala Group. Nire-report ito sa mga Zobel. And, you know, I have gotten the express approval to present it to people. And the first people that will see this would be IMG. Okay? So, anong sinasabi dito? Yes, COVID infections are still going up. Yes, we still have a surge. And the surge is a function of the Delta variant. However, alam niyo ba ang lumalabas sa mga study? Yung Delta variant, sigurado, mas contagious. Mas nakakahawa. But there is no indication that it is more potent and it can cause severe disease. So what am I saying? Ayala Health has said, scientifically, viruses evolve that way. Viruses will have to be more contagious, but they have to be less potent. Why? Because the virus wants the host to live. That is a scientific rule. Kasi ayaw din ng virus mamatay ka. Kasi pag namatay ka, mamamatay din siya. So typically, a virus has to evolve in such a way that it will be more contagious, so it can spread out quickly, but it has to be really controlled. It has to be less potent so that the host will survive. So that's key. And we see that in the Delta variant that's happening. So ano talagang kalaban ng Delta variant? Ano talagang kalaban ng COVID? Vaccinations. Vaccinations. The key is vaccinations because through vaccinations, you're going to be lowering the infection rate and you're going to be lowering hospitalization. And because of that, you're also going to be lowering the mortality or the death rate. Yun naman talaga ang labanan eh. Alam niyo yung sabi ni Ayala Health, wag na natin i-measure ang infection. Kasi ang infection, syempre, pag sinabihan kayo, 14,000, 18,000, 30,000, 22,000, di ba nakakatakot? Nakakatakot eh. Pero dapat ang mini-measure mo, vaccination, hospitalization, and death. Yun ang dapat mini-measure mo. Kasi, hindi mo na mapapababa yung infection rate na yan. Everyone will be exposed to it. Ano ang mapapataas mo? Vaccination. And this is the report. With the way we're doing it, by the end of December, we're going to be 62% vaccinated. Total Philippine population. If we're going to be doing it at the rate we're doing now, with the supply that's here, we're going to be 60% vaccinated. Metro Manila will be 90% vaccinated or at the level of what we call herd immunity. So ang tanong ko sa marami, ano sa palagay nyo? Mas okay ba ang Pasko this year than yung Pasko last year? Do you know that Christmas in 2020 had about 70% mobility? 70% of pre-pandemic pumunta sa mall nung last quarter of 2020. Ang tanong ko, marami bang vaccinated nun? Actually, walang vaccinated nun. Konting-konti, very negligible. By the end of December, if this analysis pulls through, we will have 90% vaccinated in Metro Manila. So, what do you expect mobility to be in the last quarter of this year? Obviously, a lot better. And as I've mentioned earlier, Ayala Health's advice is to measure hospitalization and the death rate. And you will notice this. Surges will happen. Surges will always happen. Darating yan. Every half year, every quarter, may mangyayaring surge. But, bababa ang hospitalization rate, which we're seeing in Metro Manila right now, and bababa ang mortality rate, which you're going to compare total Philippines to Metro Manila, ang baba na. Why? Because Metro Manila is more vaccinated than the provinces. If the provinces increase their level of vaccinations, you will see the numbers improve and we're going to be better off economically. Okay, so, question, will it pay to wait? Alam nyo, for an investor, your response will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your response will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Kung anong gagawin mo, yun ang magiging mundo mo. You're going to be missing out if you're going to hold back. But you're going to be safe. Is it time to be safe today? Now, time and again, your friends at Rampver Financials, we always tell you, never let a good crisis go to waste. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Why is the portfolio of Kaiser doing very well? It's because we're continuing to invest at the time when a lot of people think it's wrong. At the time when a lot of people think it's good to wait and see. We're positioning today and we're positioning very strongly. If you're going to see it, the downside is going to be fairly limited. So let me shift now to a discussion of the real purpose of my talk, which is to unlock your potential. Let us unlock our potential. You have to believe that everything you need to succeed, you have with you. Everything you need to succeed, you have in you. Whatever you don't, you can learn it, you can get it. Ulitin ko yon. Lahat ng kailangan mo to succeed is already with you. If you don't have it, you can learn it, you can get it. Alam nyo, doon nagkakatalo yung successful and unsuccessful people. Successful people and unsuccessful people are very different. They both have ambition. Pareho yan, may ambition yan. Gumagawa ba ng goal? Yes. Even unsuccessful people have goals. Pero, pag nilista mo na what's required, doon na tumitigil yung unsuccessful guy. Why? The unsuccessful guy will say, Wala ako niyan. Hindi ko alam yan. Paano na ngayon? Unsuccessful people, stop. They stop. Anong ginagawa ng successful people? Paglabas ng requirement. Meron ako niyan. Kung wala man ako, pag-aaralan ko yan at gagawa ako ng paraan para makuha ko yan. Successful people don't stop. They make a to-do list. I don't have it, I have to get it. I don't know it, I have to learn it. They don't wait for external factors. Alam nyo, maraming unsuccessful people nag-iintay ng break, nag-iintay ng swerte. Swerte. Kasi pag walang swerte, malas. Diba? Hinihintay nito, external. Ang hinihintay ng successful person is not external. Internal. What has to come from me? What has to happen that I need to do? If it is to be, it is up to me. Yun ang labanan eh. Dito nagkakatalo yung potential. That's why successful people never stop. Successful people continue on and try to drive whatever it takes. Not what they need, but whatever it takes. You know, we exalt other people. We make them extraordinary because it lets us off the hook. Ang successful people, ibang tao yan. Pero wala akong ganyan eh. Hindi ko alam yan eh. So okay lang ako maging average. Alam nyo, dito sa IMG, we know that that is not true. Why? Our extraordinary people, our CEOs, our green jackets, look at where they've come from. You cannot say that they come from really wealthy and lofty backgrounds. Many of them came from very simple, humble beginnings. So hindi mo pwedeng tawaran ang sarili mong kakayanan dahil ang mga naging successful dito are more ordinary than you. Are more ordinary than you. But what have you been doing? You're exalting them and saying, they have something I don't have. You say, what doesn't work? Anong kulang sa akin? And then you also say, what is different? Bakit meron silang ganun, ako wala? So what are you doing? You are self-depreciating to make people extraordinary so that you can be fairly average. And we have a way of being average. Yun ang problema eh. Nagiging average tayo dahil nagpapaka-average tayo. That's not the way IMG should be. That's not the way IMG membership should act. Every extraordinary person is a reality and something that's reachable for all of us. There is nothing special. There is nothing that we cannot have. Alam nyo para dun sa mga average performing natin, and I guess we can still have a horde of numbers of them. You know what we do? We prove, we protect, we hide, we defend. Ordinary people always do this. We prove, we protect, we hide, we defend. We make ourselves, not just other people, we make ourselves believe why we shouldn't be up there. We create enough reasons why we cannot fly high, why we only have to be here, because we're not willing to pay the price. So we prove to other people and to ourselves why we have to be average. What are the qualities that we prove it? We protect our own comfort. Alam nyo di ba, paulit-ulit kong sinasabi yun? Di ba? Your growth zone is not gonna be in your comfort zone. There is no growth in your comfort zone. But there is going to be no comfort in your growth zone. So are you willing to be uncomfortable to be a success? If you are really going to grow, but you protect your status quo eh. Kasi alam nyo, ang status quo, hindi ka kailangan masyadong magbanat, hindi ka kailangan masyadong tumira. Okay lang kasi average ka eh. Safe eh. And that's the reason why iiwanan ka ng mga ibang members na talagang giving their all, giving what it takes. Because you're protective. You're even hiding things. You're hiding. what you're supposed to do and what you're not doing, tinatago mo yun. Kasi again, you're not willing to go through the discomfort. And then you defend yourself. You justify. Di ba? Dinidepend mo eh. Kasi wala akong oras eh. Kasi hindi ako ganong karaming contact. Kasi wala akong equipment. Di ba? Wala akong equipment eh. So, kulang ang kaalaman ko. Okay? Kulang ang kaalaman ko. So, one thing that we want to do is take out proving, protecting, hiding, and defending. We want to be able to say, our energy is confused and consumed by wasting all of these in proving, protecting, hiding, and defending. Let us switch. Let us forget proving, protecting, hiding, and defending. Let us go to creation. Let's create something. And when you're in the aspect of creation, you become the person you want to be. You just suddenly become the person you want to be. So, let us stop what's not gonna help and let us move towards creation. Ang creation kasi, involvement mo mismo. Gumagawa ka ng mga bagong bagay. But always remember this. Hurt people hurt. Ang mga taong may problema, ang mga taong may mga anxiety, may depression, may kulang sa buhay, they will hurt other people. Sad people make other people sad. Okay? So, again, papatamaan ko ang maraming members dito. Okay? Yung mga nasaktan sa isang vlogger. O, di ba? Natatandaan niyo yun? Lahat kayo nasaktan doon sa vlogger na yun eh. Why? Because that person might be hurt. And she wants the hurt to be all around her. Sabi, lahat tinitira niya, lahat ng masasaya. Di ba? Take note. Alam niyo, maraming masaya sa, di ba? Sa front row. Maraming masaya sa Yusana. Maraming masaya sa IMG. Titirahin niya lahat yun. Bakit? Sino hindi masaya? People who want other people sad are sad people. So leave the misery with her. The best approach and the best response is to ignore. Because you know the truth. And because you know the truth, you keep up. You're not supposed to let other people manage you. You manage yourself. So think about it. Hindi ko lang sinasabing yun lang ang ating bad influences. Ha? Minsan, sarili nating pamilya magsasabi sa atin, o hindi okay yan, huwag mong gawin yan, o huwag ka masyadong magpakahirap dyan. It might not be worth it. See, all of these things will tell you, be average, be mediocre, it's okay. Is that what you want? Whether or not these people are correct, makes them correct once you follow them. That's the reason why you have to do what it takes. But on top of that, you have to influence others as well. So, if your friends are holding you back, change your friends. Be clear with this. Change your friends. If you are hanging out with people who are average, you will be average. Let me tell you this. Think about the 5 people you spend most time with today. 5 people. Your success will be an average of the 5 people you spend time with. If you want to be successful, you have to change your friends. Now, hindi ko naman sinabing galit-galit kayo nung dati mong mga kaibigan. No, kaibigan mo pa rin sila. Pwedeng may konting, inuman pa din kayo, pakisamahan pa kayo, reunion, okay lang yan. But spend more time with people who excite you. Spend more time with people who give you the proper influence, the excitement, the energy, the motivation. Even when it's not your family, move to some place where they can inspire and make you better. Alam nyo marami din naman akong kaibigan nung high school. Marami din naman akong kaibigan nung college. Pero alam nyo, I'm not spending so much time with them. Although I'm part of the Viber group, I have exchanges, I meet them from time to time. But, sino lagi kong kasama ngayon? Mastermind group ni Brother Bo? at saka yung big three. So, when you're with your big three, mastermind of Brother Bo, and the boards of the biggest companies in the Philippines, guess what happens to you? Hindi ka masyado nakatingin sa sarili mo na masyado kang bilib na bilib sa sarili mo. No. You're going to be looking at bigger taipans knowing that you still have a lot to do. You still have a lot to accomplish. If you're the most intelligent in your group, if you're the most wealthy in your group, it's time to leave that group. It is time to leave that group. You will have to be in groups that will inspire you and make you better. Get you notches above where you really are. See, people want the benefits of transformation without the sacrifices and the inconveniences required. Gusto natin mag-transform. Gusto natin magbago ng buhay. Pero hindi tayo willing to go through the discomforts and go by the challenges. We will have to push the difference. We will have to push what's uncomfortable. Yung mga sakripisyo, what are you willing to pay? The price you're willing to pay to change your life. That is key. Kailangan pa may emergency funds na tayo. Huwag na tayo masyadong dependent sa utang. Pag may nangyari ba sa buhay mo, may konting challenge, may konting dagok, lagi bang utang ang sagot niyan? Or you have enough to take care of your contingencies? Think about it. You will have to do things the proper way if you want stability and comfort. Let me tell you this. Your conviction, what you want to do, what you need to change your life, that's your conviction. And your convenience, yung degree of comfort mo, yung pahinga mo, yung kagandahan ng buhay mo. Conviction and convenience, they don't live in the same address. Hindi yan within the same address. Magkahiwala yan. As I've said, you want to succeed, you will have to go towards a different direction. You cannot stay within what's convenient because what's convenient is not going to take you where you want to go. For those of you who are very successful, many of you have done this. Now, for those of you who are still within the process of becoming better, this is what I want to tell them. Gawa kayo again, move to creation. Create product update posts. Mag-post lang kayo. Ang dami naman pinopost ni IMG, ang dami naman pinopost ng ating mga partners, ang dami pinopost ng Rampver. Pumili lang kayo na i-forward nyo, i-share nyo. When you deal with this update post, guess what happens? You come up with opportunities because you're out there. You're visible. Create infographics. Create infographics. Pictures of yourself, caricatures to make sure people get through interest. How about videos? How about videos? Alam nyo the most successful amongst all of you are the guys who are very visible in social media. Okay? Alam nyo, walang halong biro. Sinabi ko kay Doc Jaime, I follow him. Natutuwa ako dun sa mga sagot niya. Dun nga sa famous vlogger na yun. Isa sa pinakamagandang video na napanood ko, yung video ni Doc Jaime. Diba? He never attacked the person. He attacked the points, which is very good. G. Isaal, you're also one of the best people in this arena. Di ba? Alam ko, you create all of these videos on a regular, constant basis. So, this, ladies and gentlemen, makes a lot of IMG leaders and members what we call thought leaders. If they become thought leaders, people gravitate towards them. People would want to follow their footsteps. So, try to be a thought leader. You have to become a thought leader to have a bigger level of influence. Alam niyo, ang labanan sa social media, ang labanan sa internet, ang labanan sa online and digital is just to cast a bigger net. Try to cast a bigger net because unlike before, when we're all face-to-face, hindi na ganun Ngayon, digital na So, lahat dapat wider net para meron kang audience all the time. You have to host digital events and webinars. Alam niyo sa amin, even in Rampver itself, there are people who did not do this in the past. It's their discomfort. Think about it. Have you ever seen Jung Fernando, Janice Marie P. Fernando? Have you seen her in an event of Rampver and talked in public? You haven't seen her, right? O ngayon, isipin nyo, di ba sikat na sikat ngayon yung Jung's fight? Yung Jungs 5, sikat na sikat yun. Inaabangan yung video na yun. It happens from time to time, pero inaabangan na yun. And what's that? That's simply Jung going out of her comfort zone and shooting videos of herself. Meron kaming mga colleagues like Jason Gutierrez, Sean Contreras, Kim Saiyo. Lahat yan gumagawa ng mga tinatawag na digital events, online events. Whether the listener would be 5 people or 50 people, doesn't matter as long as you're out there in the market. And of course, I think all of you know, Erickson Menor, Mark Muedan, Morgan De Guzman. Yan yung mga tanyag na pangalan sa IMG. Why? Because almost on a daily, weekly basis, they are with you on these webinars. What does that make them? It makes them thought leaders. And if they are thought leaders, what follows? Siyempre, magkakaroon sila ng loyalty sa kanilang listeners and audience, which makes them make sure that people follow the recommendations. So, you can also go through new channels, partner programs, makipag-partner kayo sa ibang grupo na may base din, and then niche marketplaces. Alam nyo we share one thing. IMG and Rampver Financials share one thing in common. And what is that? We're both performing during the pandemic. Our companies, our organizations are both doing well during the pandemic. And you may ask why. It's because we both pivoted well, and it's because we continued moving forward. If we're going to hold back, if we're going to wait, can you just imagine if you waited? Magdadalawang taon na yung wait mo. Wala pa rin nangyayari. So may mga taong nag-iintay, may mga taong, oops, what can I do to thrive? It depends on the question you ask yourself. Alam niyo yung tanong ng karamihan ng Pilipino, that's the reason why many are depressed and many are wallowing in anxiety. It's because of the question they ask themselves. And they can be self-discriminating. Anong tanong? Why me? Bakit ako? Bakit ako lagi? Ako na naman. Bakit kami? When you ask that question, ano sagot? Bakit ako? Diba? Malas ka Ikaw lagi. Pero ang tanong, what can I do to thrive? Yes, I'm in a pandemic. What can I do to be better? Pag ganun ang tanong mo, ano sagot? You will do whatever it takes to be better. Kasi yun ang tanong mo What you ask, you will answer. The key is to have the answer that empowers you. The environment will always change, but empowerment is something that comes from within. What do you do about it? Invest in your growth. Invest in your growth. Watch, learn, follow things that can make us better. Always think that way. Invest in your growth. Invest in your products. Alam nyo karamihan ng IMG members, minsan nagtataka, bakit ako walang masyadong naniniwala sa akin? Kasi you're not living You're not living what you preach. You have to practice what you preach. You have to live the life you present. You have to talk the walk, and you have to walk the talk. All of these things will have to be there because when you own, when you invest, when you're in the right pathway to prosperity, guess what? People will follow you because you will have both confidence and credibility. You will have confidence and credibility. You cannot sell an idea to someone that you are not going to be buying yourself. You cannot set an idea for someone if you're not able to do this yourself. You will have to do it yourself first before you make other people follow your conviction. They will follow your recommendation when they see what you're doing and what's being changed in your life. You will always have something from within than something from without. Surround yourself with things and people that can stretch you. Surround yourself with people and things that can stretch you. I told you, I have groups that I spend time with, groups that inspire me, groups that excite me, groups that tell me, "Oy, Rex, wala ka pa." Di ba? Alam nyo, wala naman halong pagmamayabang. I think in a lot of pockets, a lot of organizations, people look up to me. But with the people I am with, I probably need to look up and follow footsteps. Because I always try to be with people who are higher than me. Because they will inspire me. Di ba? And take note, I'm not being materialistic here. Ha? Naturally, a lot of people would say, materialistic ka, Rex. No. I will tell you this. I have things that make me excited. I own things that make me stretch myself. Because I want them. I want the very best for myself and my family and loved ones. And if I want that, guess what happens? I have to stretch my capability. I have to be better. Okay? Just this morning, I showed Bart, Noel, and then Joanne the watch I'm wearing. Nakikita nyo ba, nakafocus ba ito? Kasi, alam nyo my pride, I'm talking to you. Can you just imagine the excitement in me? Because I know, you don't even see it, but I know I have it in me. It kind of makes me different, kind of makes me confident. Why? Because I'm owning a watch and I'm wearing it, and there are only 35 people in the world who own this. 35 people. Limited edition. Rex Mendoza owns one. Can you just imagine the kind of feeling I have? Out of all the Filipinos, out of all the people in the world, there are only 35 who own this, and I have one on my wrist. Am I being materialistic? I don't think so. It's a feeling. Iba po yung materialistic. Yung materialistic, nagyayabang pinakikita sa lahat. Actually, pag nakita nyo to, baka nga hindi nyo mabasa yung oras. It's called a flying regulator. It's very different. But it gives me an idea that I have the best. And if I have the best, I am looking forward to get more. Now, people who are negative about this will say, oh, it's too materialistic. Oh, it's insatiable. Teka lang. Think about this. What's their life and what's mine? Yung vlogger na yun, tandaan nyo, yung vlogger na yun na nanira sa atin. Tandaan nyo, sino siya? Ang tanong ko sa sarili ko when I learned about it, and when Joanne asked me to listen to her, I did. Pero alam nyo, hindi sumama loob ko Hindi sumama, totoo, hindi sumama loob ko. Alam nyo, sabi ko, ipagpapalit ko ba buhay ko sa kanya? Oops, mukhang hindi, di ba? Sa itsura niyang yun. Mukhang investment guru siya sa palagay niya. Mukha bang may narating siya? O parang mas malayo narating ko sa kanya? So, if she's not gonna be on top of me, why will I listen to her? I will only listen to people who will make me better. I don't want to listen to people to make me sad because I know and understand sad people make other people sad. So, hindi na ako makikisama. So, think about this. Success is clues. Achievers share their stories. That's why I'm here. That's why the big three is here. That's why the green jackets, the CEOs, they share their stories all the time. Ang problema natin, hindi natin pinipick up. Ang napipick up natin at times are the sad stories, are the bad stories. So ano nangyayari? Yun ang ina-absorb natin. Yan ang galing sa telenovela nyo, yan ang galing sa mga napapanood yung kung ano-anong palabas. It entertains you, but it actually feeds your emotions, negative things. You actually feed yourself with the wrong things, not with the motivation and inspiration to make you grow. I'm going to be doing something special here. Okay? I think you all know we're pushing subscription and watching YouTube channels. There is an IMG official YouTube channel, and I'm part of that. I guess there with Risa Kaupeng, a very good friend of mine. Pero syempre, pinupush din namin, guys, yung Rampver Financials YouTube channel. And I've gotten permission from the big three because I'm really pushing this today. Subscribe to our channel, learn from it. Sana naman po, bawas-bawasan natin ang Netflix, Rexflix paminsan-minsan. Rexflix, ha? So, ito bibigay ko sa inyo, QR code yan, screenshot nyo na, parilin nyo na, para makapunta kayo dun sa YouTube channel. Not now, later. Kailangan pag natapos itong convention natin, yun ang unang usapan. So, we'll come up with a little contest. Okay? We'll come up with a little contest here. I think you all know, I usually